I'm Carl Harrington, and I have two tasks. One is self-imposed, and one is a great pleasure. What I want to do first and foremost is I want to recognize somebody who has done a tremendous amount of work and doesn't get enough recognition, and that's Paul Kitchen. Stand up, Paul. I've tried to do that job before. He's way better at it. Now I have the pleasure of doing something even easier. What I have to do is introduce Lori Rude Betts. And yesterday you heard about a WM patient who'd been to 29 out of her 30 ed forums. Today I want to introduce you to a caregiver who's been to 28 out of 29. She didn't go to the first one because her husband hadn't been diagnosed yet. So here's a caregiver who's been to 28 out of 29, and one of my favorite people in the entire planet, Lori Rude Betts.
Hi, everybody. I am so happy to be here to talk to you about this wonderful organization. And that's why I was so thrilled when they named the Heritage Society after Ben, because his heritage is one that I think you can benefit from. And that is being a part of your cancer. You can be a victim or you can be a participant. And I remember Ben, who did not die of Waldenstrom's. That he would want me to tell you right off. But he had Waldenstrom's for 8.5 years before he got another cancer. And I would think in Ben's wonderful life, he would say that those 8.5 years were a highlight in his life because he got involved with his WM. And during that time, we, as an organization, went from a support group formed by our founder, Arnie Smokler, to what this organization is today. And I think that the lead-in to what I have to say and what Carol Gray, our board member, has to say this morning was well introduced by Dr. Stephen Treon and the young investigators that we got to enjoy hearing from earlier. But during the history of this organization, except for the last few years, this has been a completely patient-run organization. And I believe that Ben would want me to say to you that the more you're involved with your cancer, the less likely you are to feel like a victim and the more likely you are to feel empowered. And one of the ways you can get involved in your WM is by being part of this organization. One of the things that we have to remember as we take advantage of everything that the IWMF has to offer us is that we have a very, very hardworking board working on our behalf. And I know that they're not all here, but would the board members that are here please stand so we can recognize you. There are many ways to serve the IWMF, and of course, my favorite is by donating the funds that will support your cure. This is all about you and your WM. And I hope that those watching us throughout the world will keep that in mind and appreciate the fact that this organization that goes back to the first conference in 1996 with many of the same involvement of the research community. Dr. Robert Kyle, who is now retired completely at 97 years old, was very much a part of this for many, many years. We miss him, and if he's out there, Bob, we love you and miss you. And he knew Jan Waldenstrom, think of that. So this is an opportunity for us to think about the continuity of this organization. I can remember when Ben was talking about this young investigator named Stephen Treon, who wanted all of our money. And look how far we've come. The exciting thing is that there are so many investigators now who want our money. And wouldn't it be a shame when we started from no one knowing anything really about WM, no one researching it, no one doing anything about it, to the point where we have young investigators that need money, and we need to be sure that they have it. So I hope that you will feel that you want to be a part of your WM, and that you'll think of many ways to do so, but particularly by recognizing that we need your support now, and we need your support as a gift in the future for those who come after you in WM, and hopefully with a cure. And I want to now introduce Carol Gray, one of our board members, who is so exciting because she talks about all of the investigators who want our money. So please listen to Carol.
Well, you don't get to sit down. It's very interesting. I'm brand new. This is my first Ed Forum, and my second time to meet fellow board members. I just joined in November. It's been kind of a rapid journey because I spent my life in the nonprofit world helping with causes that I hadn't lived through, like homeless youth and foster children, and helping children, youth, and families in bold initiatives to improve their lives. And now I'm in an effort that is very personal. My son has Waldenstrom's. He was diagnosed 2 years ago at the age of 46 with a 4-year-old and a 7-year-old. We've been on quite a journey with him, quite sick, because he had a number of the complications mentioned in the complications lecture by Dr. Sarasiak the other day. And so, you know, many doctors' visits, all of a sudden, he gets this cancer diagnosis. We didn't even know he was seeing another doctor. He'd seen so many doctors. And he was given, 2 years ago, he was given 3 to 5 years to live because he was with a doctor that had only seen one other WM patient before. And he called me. His wife was on a business trip. He just dropped the kids off at school. And he calls his mom. I'm a mom. And all of you others who are moms know that you'll do anything for your child, and even when your child's an adult, they often go to their mom about their worries and concerns. So I felt ill-equipped for dealing with the concerns when he's in a different part of the country, and I'm very far from Boston. I live in California. At the time, he was in Colorado, and he needed a second. I said to him when he called me, we're going to find the best doctors in the world, and we're going to beat this, and I'll be there in 24 hours. It was during COVID, end of COVID. We didn't want to infect anybody, so Don and I, my husband, are on a drive immediately, left within 10 hours to get to Colorado to take care of the grandkids so he could make a opening that had happened at with Dr. Sarasiak so he could be seen. Coincidentally, because life has these coincidences, I was reading, we listened to the book on tape of, on our travel, of the Nobel Prize winning event of Dr. Jennifer Doudna. And I'm going to forget his name in my nervousness, but Isaac Walden. Anyway, it's a great book called Codebreaker, and it's about the CRISPR discovery, the tool that allows these scientists to start engineering and separating these genes. And so we read this, listened to this book because it was so full of hope about the new technology. And then I'm going to tell you today about how in 2020 she won this Nobel Prize, the first team of women in the history of the Nobel Prize for chemistry. And now we just approved at the board meeting a top proposal that's using that CRISPR technology to look at WM. So I'm going to share that in just a moment. But what I wanted to come back to is I raised my hand and said, can I volunteer with IWMF because I've spent my life in nonprofits. I know how to fundraise. Can I help? And the first assignment was, could you work on uplifting the message of the Ben Rude Heritage Society? And I had never met Lori, but I had researched her husband and written about him and his contributions to all of us. So I saw her Friday night, and I had to give her a hug because I felt like I knew her so well. And I wanted to thank her for passing it forward. And I'm passing it forward because I want to help the next generations, of course, my son, my grandchildren, and I have a lot that I can contribute. And one of the first things that happened was a fundraiser came along for IWMF, and we were in the midst of trauma, and I said, Joey, you need to give big, it's going to feel good. And big for him, he's in a startup business and 2 little kids. Big for him was $250. And I said, hun, it's $1,000. We're going to punch that cancer. And he really felt good. I'm telling you, after he gave, and of course I gave too, and our rest of our family gave, and then we all felt good. We felt like we were doing something. It was so, to your message, so empowering to take action and to do something. And what I've since learned being on the board is that these scientists in partnership with us are amazing. But IWMF is the glue. This worldwide effort is happening because of IWMF. And I'm a newbie, so I'm bragging for everybody else. I've not made my contribution except for in a minor way yet, but I'm concerned because I see the incredible opportunity out there for the research and the new technology and where it's going. And we're not really at that speed in terms of fundraising, and we need to be. And I feel that if everybody stretches, everybody does what they can, we can get there. And 99% of that money is not coming from pharma or the governments around the world. It's coming from those with the disease and those who love them. And every dollar counts. So if we all row hard, we've got the scientists, they're going like this. Let's match it and let's all do what we can. You can put it in your will. You can, a lot of us are retired. We can look at that IRA distribution, and instead of paying taxes on it, maybe we give it to IWMF. And we're paying it forward just like you did. And thank you so much, Lori. Just one more snippet. I want to tell you, there's the researchers up here that we're funding right now. And I assumed when I came in that IWMF had this big chest of funds, and they fund the research over multiple years, and there we are. But in fact, we're actually fundraising as we go. We've got the money, and we're a very stable organization in terms of our volunteers that are making sure we're right on the choices we're making about money. But it's fund as you go. There's many more ideas out there. And I knew that the best in the world, the scientists, were expensive. I learned that 1 month of keeping those WM mice alive in the Dana-Farber labs, $10,000 a month. And we need those WM mice, right? You heard all the things that are happening with them. So my point is that the infrastructure costs are large, and they're getting hit hard right now. We all know what's happening with the funding cycle. So our money is essential to keep the research going. I want to end with the two. I just sat in and observed the scientific committee that made the choices for the grants that are now going to roll out. No one on the stage, they're already busy working. These are new grants. It was last week that the board approved them. And I'm not going to talk about all of them, but I want to talk at least about two of them and make my point. One of them is a young investigator like the people that sat up here. He's at the University of Amsterdam, and he is partnering with the University of Iceland, two WM gurus up there, and our Zachary Hunter that discovered the CXCR4, and he's the mentor for this young investigator. So we've got three countries, Iceland, Amsterdam, Netherlands, and Dr. Hunter at Dana-Farber. And they're taking the work that IWMF funded on these subtypes that we heard about yesterday, and they've already got the 120 tissue samples, and they're going to look at pre, during, and post-treatment, and how do those subtypes play out in terms of the changes that they can see in the tissue samples to inform us about the clinical outcomes based on subtypes. That's one young investigator that we want to fund, and I, in a nonprofit way, would have a silent auction and say, okay, over here, who wants this opportunity? It's $157,000. Going, oh, we got a bidder there, we got a bidder here. Okay, now I just want to say the second opportunity. The first opportunity we'll know in 2 years, June 26. The second opportunity is more of a 4-year investment at $470,000, and it's funding Dr. Constantine Midiatis in Dana-Farber. And she's the one using this CRISPR gene technology to unpack 60 genes that they've identified as the best friends of those WM cells. They're keeping them fat and happy in the bone marrow. And her approach is going to study those 60 genes with the CRISPR technology to try to look for therapeutic opportunities to interfere with them. And what we know is, to date, there's been almost no systematic research of those 60 genes for Waldenstrom's or for any other cancer. The new technology is allowing this opportunity. So talk to me, talk to any board member, but we really need everybody participating, and I hope you'll join me. Thank you.
Empower yourself.